Project Hail Mary is now in theaters, and is it amaze, 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 or is it two thumbs up? Welcome back to Movies Good, Internet Bad. I'm Cory, that's Shane, and this is our spoiler-filled review of Project Hail Mary, directed by Phil Lord and Chris Miller. I did a non-spoiler out of the theater reaction, which is linked in the description below, so if you don't want to be spoiled, you can go check that out. In this video, though, we'll give our brief thoughts on the film, dive into some of the spoilers, then also talk about differences from the book, because we have both read the book. And comment below if you've read the book as well. Like and subscribe. And Shane, give me your 30 seconds of how did you feel about this film without giving it all away?
Yeah, I really, really enjoyed this. I think it's a nice, hopeful science fiction extravaganza adventure with a little bit of pacing issues in the back half that we'll talk about.
Okay.
But I thought it was very funny. Ryan Gosling is very charismatic, and his physical acting in this is actually very impressive, more so than I've seen kind of in other roles that he's done. But you can't help but fall for Rocky and Grace. Like, you have to.
Yeah, that relationship is the whole crux of the film,
and it works perfectly to me. Like that was, if they didn't get that right, the movie would not have worked, and they got it more than right, I thought.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And I kind of said my piece in the non-spoiler video, but it really worked for me. I thought that the script was great. I thought that the acting was obviously great. Cinematography, fantastic.
Greig Fraser is just doing his thing, as he always does.
The soundtrack hits Apple Music, I think, at midnight, and I'm really excited to listen to that over and over and over again. But yeah, go see it in a movie theater. For God's sakes, do not wait. Go see it on a big screen with a big speaker system, and don't watch it on your phone 5 weeks from now when it comes out that way.
Yeah, I mean, especially because the aspect ratio changes mean that if you see it in an IMAX theater, you're going to get at least 1.9, depending on which theater you go to. I did not see it in IMAX, but I will a week from tomorrow. So I'll see it in the full 1.43. Yes, but I even noticed, the difference in the 2.35 to the 1.9. Actually, I would have seen it in 16:9. So
yeah,
but still.
There are some movies where the aspect ratio switching is kind of like, why are we really doing this? Like a lot of the Marvel movies, they do it just because they shoot the movie at 1.9 for coverage, and then they frame it for scope after it's done. This one, it actually is kind of a storytelling device because
it's part of the plot. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, there's a lot of flashback between stuff that happens on Earth in the past and then the present day in space. And for viewers that aren't as initiated to the story, they haven't read the book or whatever, that's a very quick and easy visual cue to kind of help them orient themselves as to where this part of the story is taking place.
Yes.
And it worked really well.
I really enjoyed, talking about cinematography, I really enjoyed the fact that Greig Fraser used a lot of the centrifuge turning cameras, even on the Earth stuff, as like a transition. Yeah. So you'd have like the space, and he transitions to a flat framing, and then you're on Earth. So it was a really cool visual way of distinguishing between the two, not only in the aspect ratio, but in the motion of the camera.
Yeah, for sure. And God, him plus a spaceship, I didn't know that it was going to be as good as it was. And there's so many cool angles and so much cool stuff he's doing. Okay, but let's get into spoilers now. Let's peel the Band-Aid off. If you haven't seen the movie, go buy a ticket, go to the box office and buy it, or buy it on your phone, or do whatever you do, and just make sure you go see it and take a bunch of friends with you, because this movie cost a lot of money and they need to recoup it. But yeah, so spoilers. Shane, what worked for you? You said there were some pacing issues. Maybe let's get rid of those. Let's get out of the way the negative first. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, so coming from the book, and maybe this is because I was oriented with the book and the way that it told the story compared to the movie, I think the pacing issues for me mainly happened in the back kind of third of the film, where my biggest pacing issue with the whole thing was that we said goodbye to Rocky. So they say goodbye, they leave. In the book, there's a very extended period of time where he's without Rocky. He's feeling the weight of not being with his friend. He's watching him on the Petrovoscope slowly disappear every single day until he can't see him anymore. And the movie glossed over that in about 5 minutes. And so I felt like you needed the audience to sit with that like emotion of he's never going to see Rocky again, Whereas it felt like a Rise of Skywalker, like Chewbacca's dead. Just kidding, he's not dead.
How
He's in the
dare
next
you?
scene.
How dare you invoke the
No,
name of the
it's
Rise
not.
of Skywalker when talking about this movie?
It's not nearly
Out.
that bad, but
Out with
I
you.
felt like that was the biggest issue for me. It was that emotional impact needed to be a little bit more distinct and a little just
Okay.
draw it out a little bit. 5 more minutes of screen time or something could have worked there. A lot more, emotional acting from Ryan Gosling, loneliness, that type of stuff, and
Sure.
then you bring him back.
Okay.
It felt like it was a little bit rushed. There were some other things too that I felt like they just kind of glossed over. Um, Whereas like the breeding of the Talmiba was just like Rocky was like dying and he wasn't sure when he was going to wake up, and he bred Talmiba perfectly for the return trip in like 5
Yeah.
minutes. And I felt like that was a little bit rushed too. Like it was the crowning achievement of what they were doing, and it felt like it was just like a plot device that they kind of threw away.
That's fair. I was more expecting you to come out of this and say that it was a little bit too slapsticky for your taste.
I mean, the book is slapsticky, so I was fine. I actually liked the humor more in the movie
Okay.
than in the book.
Good. I'm
Uh,
glad to hear that because I did
the
too. And when I
yeah.
saw it, my whole theater, even the stuff that like wasn't
Oh, we were
all that
laughing the
funny,
whole
they were
time.
roaring the
Yes.
whole time. It was
Yes.
great. So
Yeah, there were a lot of really good jokes in the movie. I felt like the book humor was a little like geek humor, like a little
yeah. Oh
bit.
yeah.
There's
Yeah.
one
Yeah.
scene in the book specifically that I will never forget, where like the two science officers are talking like explicitly out loud about how much they have sex,
Hmm.
and Grace is just like, "Can you guys stop talking about that?" And I think
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it was supposed to be really funny, but when I was reading that, I was just like, it's not that funny. It's kind of like cringe humor.
Yeah.
And the book I think has a lot of that. And so I was a little bit worried that some of the humor would get copied over, but it
Okay.
really didn't. A lot of the humor worked a lot better, and this is why like Lord and Miller were so good of a choice to direct this, is because they
Hmm.
are very funny in most of the films that they do. And I
Yeah.
felt like they kind of nailed the comedic timing.
Yeah. It was kind of a perfect storm because you had Drew Goddard, who wrote the script, who
Yep.
this is his
The
second
Martian.
Andy
Yeah.
Weir novel that he's
Yep.
adapted for film. You got Lord and Miller, who are great comedic directors, who, whether or not the movie saw the light of day, they have a lot of experience directing a sci-fi film now because they were on the Han Solo movie until they got
That's true.
fired 80% of the way through.
Yep.
And then you had the casting where Gosling is his comedic timing is perfect for Ryland
He's
Grace.
very funny. Yeah.
It's unbelievable. Sandra Hüller couldn't have been better cast as Eva
Hmm.
Stratt, and then Rocky being a puppet and not computer generated. I mean, like everything just kind of clicked. And it's one
Yeah.
of those, making a movie. I've said this before on this channel, but making a movie is kind of a miracle, even if it's a bad movie. When everything clicks and it's kind of magical, like a lot of the stuff in this movie is, you got to just kind of sit there and go, man, how the hell did they do it? You know,
Yeah.
the answer is $200 million, but still, even with
Still,
$200 million, there have been
yeah,
bad
you
movies.
can see. I mean, Captain America was what, $400 million, the newest one. It's a steaming trash pile.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really think that all kind of worked. Rocky especially worked phenomenally for me. All of his little whips and whirs. He kind of reminded
Mhm.
me of like a droid from Star Wars or something, like a cutesy little droid that works. He's almost like half dog, half human, half alien type thing.
Mhm.
And I thought that if they got Rocky right, then a lot of the rest of the movie would fall into place, and it did.
Yeah. And the choice to go with they went with the voice of the person who was controlling the puppet.
Yes, yeah.
Uh,
Which originally they were going to switch it, but they all, I think, voted to keep the
mhm.
puppet voice because they liked
Yep.
it so much.
Well, and they said that the chemistry that this fella and Gosling had on set worked
Hmm.
so well that they were like, we don't even need to look for somebody
Got
else.
it.
Like
Yeah.
he's Rocky, and that's that, which is
They could
pretty
have gone
neat.
with Meryl Streep, which and they make the joke in the movie,
that
which I
that joke
really
was
enjoyed.
good. That
It was good. She can do anything.
she can do anything. So book changes.
Yeah,
You recently reread the book, so you're a
correct.
little more fresh than I am on that. But I think the biggest change for me was what happens at the end, where
Yes. So
and not
kind
even
of.
like the end, but like he goes onto Rocky's ship.
Yes. So
I was
yes.
like, whoa,
I
okay.
in in the movie, when he did that, I was like, did I like hallucinate and skipped that part of the book when I read?
Right.
No, that didn't yeah, that did
No.
not happen in the book. Yes.
No.
Um, that was, which I think was cool from a visual perspective, because I do think in a book it works as like a, well, I'm just never going to be able to see it. I wish I
Mhm.
could have. It's got that internal monologue.
Yeah.
But I think in a movie where it's so visual, you you almost needed that payoff, right?
Yeah.
Like the
Yeah.
audience would have felt a
Mhm.
little bit let down if they never got to see the inside of a ship.
Yep.
There were also a lot of big visual changes, which I think is great. Like a thumbs up, thumbs down thing. That's not in the book at all. Which this is where things can get adapted into a visual medium, because in a book you can just say it or explain it with his internal monologue. In the
Right.
film, you need something to latch onto.
Yep.
The little hacky sack Earth thing was another
Beautiful.
thing
So well
visually that was
done.
added
Mhm.
there. Quite a few things there that I thought were great, that kind of just amplified like visual through lines throughout the whole movie.
Yeah, and they did a lot of stuff that the script was very economical
Yeah.
about how it got around certain things. Like the beginning of the movie, it just kind of drops you in to him waking up the
Yep.
same way that he's feeling as he's waking up. And in the
Yep.
book, it takes almost like an entire chapter
Yeah.
for him to realize what's going on. You can't
Correct.
do that in a movie, right? You have to do it
Hmm.
in like 2 or 3 minutes. And they did a really good job of that. And like one of the changes they make is in the book, he doesn't know what his name is when he first wakes up.
Correct.
In the movie, they're like, "What's your name?" And he's like, "Ryland Grace." And they just kind of blow right past it.
Right.
It's stuff that maybe the book people will get upset about, but
Hmm.
for a film script, we got a boogie, man. This is a 2 hour and 40 minute movie.
Yep.
You got to churn and burn sometimes, you know?
I will say the one thing that, knowing how this was supposed to work and then seeing it on screen, I'm a little worried about is I don't know if audiences will make the connection between the flashbacks being him regaining his memories. There's a couple scenes where it kind of shows that, where like it'll be a flashback scene and then you'll see him reacting in the present day
Mhm.
to that piece of information.
Sure.
I don't think they explained it well enough for an audience that doesn't know what the story is.
Hmm.
Because in the book, the whole point is that they give him amnesia intentionally so that he will not remember that they
Right.
have actually like kidnapped him and put him on this ship.
Yeah. And you don't really get
Uh,
that in the
and you
movie. In
don't
the
get that in
movie,
the movie.
they drug him, but you just
Hmm.
know that he's kind of just put to sleep, and that's kind of
Correct.
it.
Yeah, and so I wonder. It was kind of like it was still there, but it wasn't fully there in terms of him regaining the memories, and so I'm not sure if that'll
Mhm.
play with audiences. Um, Speaking of like big changes, I mean, I talked about the pacing things. The Tau amoeba breeding was like an extensive part of the book. Like a
A very
long
long,
time goes into
almost too
breeding
long
that.
in the book.
Yeah,
I would say.
they not only breed it, but then they have to like wait for a long time as it gets more and more resistant to the
Yeah.
nitrogen. They also have to introduce the nitrogen thing being a big problem.
Mhm.
And in the movie, it's like one line
Not
where
at
it's just like,
all. They're
ah,
like, ah,
nitrogen, poof.
shit,
Yeah,
nitrogen.
yeah, exactly. So they kind of breezed through that. And then another thing that happened was the Tau amoeba gets loose and it contaminates the fuel once
Mhm. Yep.
before they leave. So it's kind of set up, and then it's a, oh shit, it got loose again. How did it get loose? And that's when he comes to the realization that it can get into the xenonite because he's accidentally
Mhm.
bred it to get into xenonite. And that's when he realizes that Rocky is doomed if he doesn't
Yeah.
intervene. All of that stuff might be too sciency for a movie. At the
So
end of the day, all you have to know is that the end result. But I still feel
sure.
like for a movie that is so hell bent on like let's find a cure, they didn't do a lot of actually finding the cure.
Yeah, they basically just say there's a predator
We
that
found it.
can we found it.
Yeah,
Great. Yeah.
yeah,
I think the why that worked a little bit better for me was because the fuel tank thing in the book, it's a little bit repetitive. And it's kind of
it
like,
is
wait, didn't we just
correct.
do this thing? Didn't it just
Correct.
happen?
We already jettisoned the fuel tanks. Now we got to, yeah,
And when you're writing a film script where you got a finite amount of time to tell the story,
correct.
it's an easy thing to omit
Yes.
to just get right past it. But
Yep.
two other massive changes. One, you do not see Stratt sing karaoke in the book, and I watched an interview with Gosling that he did with Josh Horowitz, and apparently that wasn't even in the script. They had the idea the day that it happened.
Gotcha.
They said to Sandra Hüller, "Are you down to sing?" She said yes.
Yeah.
She found a song, They spent an entire day shooting it when they weren't supposed to. It wasn't part of the schedule. And for me, it was one of the best parts of the film because it showed the camaraderie of that whole group. And
Yep.
it was the best example of the camaraderie of that group outside of them trying to science things together, if that
It
makes sense.
Yeah, and it also gives you another side to Strat that is not
Yeah.
present in the rest of the story.
Yep.
Whereas
She's less one
in
note.
the rest of the
Yeah.
story, she's just kind of cold and she doesn't have
Hmm.
a lot of emotion, but you can see she can let loose a little bit and she actually cares about these people. And I think that gives another edge to her character when, of course, she has the final betrayal. It's like, yeah, I kind of have to do this. At least
Hmm.
that's how she feels about it.
Yep.
There's a line in the book where it's like, uh, where he says, "You're going to hell," and she's like, "No, no, no, I'm not going to hell. I'm staying in hell," or something like that.
Hmm.
Everyone else is going to hell
Yep.
because I have to stay here while the world goes to shit,
And
and you
you
get
could
to go
stay
on.
here with me if you want.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And the other big change involved her as well, all the way at the end.
correct.
They actually show the
Yep,
Beatles making their way to Earth, and
yep,
she watches his video logs and everything.
yep.
Which in the book, it's kind of just like Rocky tells Grace at the end when they're on Arid together, like,
Hmm.
"Hey, Earth did it," and
Yep,
or Earth did it. Uh,
correct.
and in this, you actually get a visual confirmation of the fact that they were able to solve the problem.
Yes, which I think works, and it kind
Yeah.
of ties in the whole because in the book it's all internal monologue. He's just talking to himself and
Hmm.
thinking. In the movie, he has to be relaying the message somehow. Like he
Right.
has to
Hmm.
explain narration, and so
Yep.
he does it similar to The Martian, where he does it in the camera.
In the camera. Yep.
And so you have to kind of pay that off that he's recording for the eventuality of them watching it later.
Yep.
The other big change for the very end was in the book. Uh, it's kind of like a time jump where there is a thought that he's going back to Earth,
Hmm.
and then he wakes up, and it's like several years later, and he's like an old man,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that's when that ending scene happens. The
He
sort of
says in the book that
epilogue.
he's 53,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
on Earth he'd be 71 or something like that, and
yes.
that's just not the way they do it in the
Correct.
movie at all.
In the movie, it's kind of two things where it's not only is it they don't set up that like aha moment where he wakes up and you think he's on Earth and then he's
Hmm.
actually on Arid. They do kind of do it visually in the movie, but it's much more like, oh, he made it back to Earth in the book, and then you realize, oh shit, actually he
Hmm.
didn't. It's many years later, kind of like Interstellar or something, where he wakes up
Yeah.
and he's on the
Yeah.
giant spaceship or something. Um, but in this one, it's kind of like the time jump didn't happen. He's younger, and then they kind of
Hmm.
ask, like, well, do you want to go home? And he's like, I don't know, maybe. And
Yeah.
they kind of do it that way, which I found interesting because I guess you could assume maybe that he hasn't chosen to stay and that he will eventually go back to Earth.
Yeah.
Whereas in the book, he has already chosen not to go back.
I also thought it was pretty funny that they basically just shot Santa Cruz, California's beach
I know.
for
I
the
know.
end there, and
Yeah.
they put a little CGI dome over top of it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
hey, Earth, there you go. It's a beautiful place. That's where we want to be. The end scene though, with all the little kid
Oh,
uh,
yeah. It's the second Andy
Iridians.
Weir adaptation where it ends with a teacher asking a room full of students a question, right?
Yeah,
They all
you're
raise their
right.
hands or
That's
something.
that's
Yeah.
right. Yeah. And it's a nice callback to the beginning because when he's
Yep.
teaching his students on Earth, he's talking to them about the speed of light,
Correct.
and then he asks the Iridians and everything, and it's
Yep.
it's very sweet. And I think as far as book to movie adaptations go, this was pretty damn faithful.
It was. It was very faithful. It
Um,
had to cut some stuff. It had to, as we said, compress some stuff, but
yep,
everything that you wanted to see from the book was there.
yeah,
All the big major moments from the book were also present in the movie.
yeah. You get a lot of other films like Mickey 17 that came out
Hmm.
last year is
Completely different.
based on
Yeah.
a book, but it's completely different aside from the bare bones of the story, right?
Hmm.
This held pretty true, and I think that was a good move because there are a lot of really faithful book readers. Like there are a lot of people that have said that this is their favorite book that they've ever read.
Yeah, it's interesting because somebody was texting me earlier saying like just unrelated, saying the best movies are based off of bad books because you can't adapt a good book because then all the book readers will be very mad if you change anything. And I feel like this very easily could have delved into that territory if they changed too much.
Yeah, I agree.
But I think the difference here being most of the stuff in the book was very sciencey, and they could really
Yes.
delve into the visuals and delve into the character work in a
Hmm.
movie. So it's different enough from the book while keeping the same story.
Yeah.
I also
It,
really enjoyed, just a random tangent, I really enjoyed the other references to sci-fi movies.
yeah.
Like they
Oh
do
yeah.
the little Close Encounters
They sure do.
tune, and then he
Mhm.
makes an alien reference. I enjoyed both of those. Yeah.
And Rocky has a lot of ET type moments,
Yeah.
and there's a whole bunch of interstellar esque
Yeah, the
exterior shots of the
spinning.
spaceships
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
space and everything.
Hmm.
And if you're gonna steal from the best, right? I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah, Rocky's ship
I dug
kind of
it
reminded me of the Tesseract in the end
a whole lot.
of
Yeah,
Interstellar.
absolutely. And there are going to be a lot of interstellar comparisons with this movie.
Yes. Yeah.
It's this one's much funnier. It's much less
Mhm.
serious than Interstellar, but God, those comparisons they're gonna go on and on. But I thought sound wise they did a really great job.
Mhm.
They use the silence of space a lot, which is like if you talk to Star Wars people, there's always like the big kabooms and the music and all that other stuff, and it's a big argument that everybody gets into. And then this
Yeah.
movie comes out and it's just like, yeah, we're doing an outer space shot. Yep, it's in outer space. That
Yeah.
you can't hear it. It's a vacuum. So
Yeah.
cool stuff there. I thought the music was good. Cinematography was just
I mean, at this point,
Fraser's
what more
killing it.
could you say about Greig Fraser? Like he's gonna kill it everything he
He
does.
I said it in the non-spoiler video, but he made doing the mundane interesting,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
like when Grace is just sitting there at a desk doing science stuff, there's like four layers to the frame, and
Yeah.
it's like a maze to get to the subject, and he
Amaze,
just
amaze, amaze.
amaze, and he draws your eyeballs right into exactly what he wants you to see,
Yeah.
and it's masterful stuff, man. And his film out process is so cool.
Yeah. He
Like
also
I don't
used
know
a lot
if you
of
got that, but
yeah, he also used a lot of glass too because of Rocky seeing him through the glass. He
yeah.
also, just in normal shots, used shots through glass a lot, and
Hmm.
refraction and all of that stuff to make it sort of a consistent visual language, even though they're completely different places.
Yeah, yeah. It's a cool movie. There are some people that are already got it. It's only March, but they're talking about award stuff for it for next
Yeah.
year.
I mean,
We'll
it's up
see.
against crazy competition, and it's
It
coming out in March.
in
So
March. That's the thing that makes me worried.
I don't have a ton of hope for awards for this, just because it's going to be overshadowed by so many other big films the rest of the year, but I hope it still hangs around, and I hope it
Yeah,
does well at the box office, because I
I
think it truly
I think
deserves
it
it.
will. I
Yeah.
think it. We talk about four quadrant movies often, and I think
Yeah.
this is actually kind of one of them. It's not a
My dad never goes to the movie theater, and he's seeing it tomorrow. So,
there you go. Like that tells you all you need to know,
yeah.
right? Like people that aren't typically film goers are going to go check this movie out, and then it's a crowd pleaser.
Hmm.
It's a roller coaster of a ride, and people laugh and people cry, and then word of mouth is going to get out that it's really good, and then I think that means that it'll probably have some pretty good legs,
Yeah.
uh, and it's in a time of the year where it's not really up against a terrible ton of competition.
No.
You know, especially in the sci-fi space. Like this type of the
Yep.
year is usually horror, small dramas, that kind of stuff. There's not a lot of big sci-fi blockbuster in March. So
Yeah, it's not going to have anything really to compete against until Super Mario Galaxy, which is still like more of a family movie than
yeah,
it
yeah.
is this type of film.
Yep. So I'm thrilled. I'm seeing it again on Saturday, and I'm taking a non-book reader to go see
Ooh.
it. So I'm very curious to see what their thoughts are after we get out, because everybody I know aside from this person has read the book. Like the book is
Yeah.
that popular.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
it'll be interesting. Hey, if you haven't read the book and you saw the movie, drop us a comment below and let us know what you thought about the film. And even if you didn't, just make it up. Make us a comment. Engage the algorithm. The YouTube gods will smile upon us, and we will shower you with more terrible jokes and movie discussion. But Shane, do you have anything else you'd like to say about this film before we take it home?
I don't think so. I think just overall, I really enjoyed it. I hope a lot of people go watch it, and I hope people fall in love with Rocky the way that we did when we read the book and then saw the movie.
I agree. Support this movie. Support original Big Swing movies. That's going to do it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, drop us a comment below and let us know. Like the video if you liked it. Subscribe to the channel if you have not already. We got some more movies coming out here in the next couple weeks that we're going to be talking about, as well as some TV shows that are in the pipeline. So be on the lookout for all that from us and so much more. Until next time, we'll see you guys in the next video.